The icy wind cut through his thin jacket as James Miller clutched his daughter's tiny hand. The 32-year-old single dad had just finished another 12-hour shift at the mechanic shop, grease still clinging to his nails, exhaustion written in the lines on his face. But tonight wasn't about him, it was about keeping his promise to his little girl, Lily. "Daddy, can we get hot chocolate?" Lily asked, her blue eyes shining despite the cold. James forced a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. Daddy always keeps his promises." He didn't tell her that his wallet carried nothing but crumpled receipts. He didn't tell her that the rent was late again, or that he skipped lunch so she could eat dinner. None of that mattered when it came to Lily. As they walked past the empty bus stop, James suddenly froze. A small figure sat hunched on the bench, a girl, no more than 8 or 9, wearing a torn dress and no coat. Her lips were blue from the cold, and her tiny hands trembled as she clutched a stuffed rabbit. James bent down. "Hey there, are you okay?" The girl's eyes filled with tears. I am lost. I don't know where my mommy is." James glanced around. No one else was nearby. He felt Lily squeeze his hand, whispering, "Daddy, she's cold." Without thinking twice, James pulled off his own jacket and wrapped it around the stranger. "Don't worry, sweetheart. You're safe now. I won't let go." They brought the girl home, gave her a warm meal, and let her sleep on the couch. James called the police to report a missing child, but when they asked for details, the girl could only say her name was Emma. Over the next 2 days, James juggled work, Lily, and caring for Emma. He should have been overwhelmed, but instead, something about the little girl tugged at his heart. He stayed up late telling her bedtime stories, making sure she never felt afraid. "Why are you helping me?" Emma asked one night. James smiled softly. "Because once upon a time, someone helped me when I had nothing. And now it's my turn." Meanwhile, across the city, panic filled the penthouse office of Billionaire CEO Charles Harrington. His only daughter had gone missing after slipping away from her nanny. Security teams scoured the streets, helicopters searched from above, but there was no sign of little Emma Harrington. The story hit every news channel: "Billionaire's daughter missing, massive search underway." James didn't have cable. He didn't know. All he knew was that Emma laughed more with Lily than she cried, and that was enough. On the third day, there was a knock at James's door. 2 men in suits stood outside, along with a trembling police officer. "Mr. Miller," one asked sharply. "Where is the child?" James instinctively pulled Emma close, his protective instincts flaring. "She's safe." "Who are you?" The men exchanged a look before one said, "We're here on behalf of Charles Harrington. That girl is his daughter." James blinked, stunned. A billionaire's daughter. He looked down at Emma, who clung to his hand. "Is this true, sweetheart?" Emma nodded slowly. "That's my daddy, but I didn't want to go home. Everyone's always too busy for me. No one holds me like you do." The words broke James's heart. He knelt to meet her eyes. "Emma, your daddy must be worried sick. But listen, I'll never let you feel alone, okay? You'll always have someone who cares." Hours later, James found himself standing awkwardly in a marble-floored mansion, grease-stained boots looking out of place against the polished tiles. Charles Harrington rushed into the room the moment he saw his daughter, scooping her into his arms with tears streaming down his face. "Emma. My angel, I thought I'd lost you." but Emma twisted in his arms and pointed back at James. "Daddy, this is James. He saved me. Don't let him go either." Charles turned, his sharp businessman's gaze softening as he studied the tired mechanic holding his own little girl's hand. You took care of her?" Charles asked. James nodded. "She needed someone. That's all." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then Charles, the man who owned half the city, extended his hand, not in wealth, not in power, but in gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, voice breaking. "You gave me back my daughter." In the days that followed, something unexpected happened. Charles didn't just vanish from James's life after reclaiming Emma. He called. He visited. And slowly, he began to notice things he had been blind to before. He saw how James lived paycheck to paycheck, yet never once complained. How Lily had shoes too small for her growing feet, yet her laughter filled the tiny apartment with joy. How James gave everything, even when he had nothing. One evening, Charles pulled James aside. "You know, I spent years building empires, chasing numbers, but my daughter only wanted love. You reminded me of that. You saved her, but you also saved me." James shook his head. "I'm just a dad, doing what dads are supposed to do." "No," Charles said firmly. "You're the kind of man this world needs more of." The story spread quietly at first how a struggling single father sheltered a billionaire's daughter without even knowing who she was. Soon, it became a symbol of humanity in a world often blinded by wealth and status. James never asked for a reward. But Charles insisted not with money alone, but with opportunity. He offered James a position managing a new auto repair business Harrington Industries was opening, with proper pay, benefits, and stability for Lily's future. At first James resisted, pride gnawing at him. But Lily's hopeful eyes and Emma's please say yes, so we can still see each other melted his hesitation. Months later, James stood outside his new shop, a clean uniform replacing his old stained jacket. Lily skipped beside him, holding Emma's hand, while Charles looked on with pride. Life wasn't perfect. It never would be, but for the first time in years, James felt like he could breathe. As the sun set, Emma ran up to him, hugging his leg. "Remember when you told me, I won't let go? You kept your promise." James knelt down, smiling through tears. "And I always will." Final message. The story of James Miller reminds us that kindness knows no status, no wealth, and no boundaries. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones quietly holding on, fathers, mothers, and ordinary people who refuse to let go when someone needs them most. And sometimes, compassion is the one thing powerful enough to change not just a child's life, but the world around them.